guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to do something different on the channel. I always say that, of course, in the introductions to my video. But, you know, in some of the past videos I've talked about how I've actually scratched some of the crystals on some of my watches, especially the Hardlex crystals on Seikos. But believe it or not, too, I've also had some issues with scratched sapphire crystals. And in the past, you know, if I'd been more clever like some of my fellow YouTubers like Minute Watch or like CG, I would have a watch press and I would have been able to actually replace the crystal on my own. And I've done that on some older watches that had an acrylic crystal. When it comes to Hardlex and Sapphire, honestly, I'm not really into investing in that stuff, and I was kind of in a situation where I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. You know, some of my more expensive watches, like my Panerai, for example, which I'll talk about in a bit, I was tempted just to get the crystal replaced. On some watches, though, like, you know, my Seiko Sumo, it wasn't really worth fixing, so I was just kind of going to leave it alone. But, you know, I'd read online about some of these watch repair techniques and people using diamond paste to repair the scratches on their crystals. So I decided to go ahead and give it a look, and I bought this stuff called Scratch Genie. And basically what it is a diamond cutting paste, and what you can do in theory is you can use the diamond cutting paste to basically polish away any scratches and you know, deep scratches, especially on, or shallow scratches, excuse me, especially on like Hardlex and Sapphire crystals. And the stuff is like $15, $16 US, and I really didn't want to spend the money. But on the flip side, I was thinking, you know, it's a lot cheaper than replacing a crystal, so I should just go ahead and give it a shot. So that's exactly what I did. So I bought this stuff and I decided to try it on two watches. So I had two watches that had issues on it. The first one, as you can see here, is my Seiko Sumo. So I accidentally scraped it up a bit, and as you can see in this photo, the crystal was destroyed to a point where, I mean, not destroyed, but it was basically, it was aesthetically unpleasing and it made it difficult to read the watch. And it was the point where I don't want to wear the watch anymore because of it. You know, the other watch that I'm wearing right now, the Panerai, and actually I'm wearing the Sumo too, the Panerai had some really light surface like scratches on it, very, very light, but I'm very OCD and they were really bothering me. So I figured, you know what, let's give it a shot. So I started off with the Sumo, and I went ahead and I had this old drill lying around that give you a polishing tip, which you can see in this photo. It comes with the polishing tip and the paste. And what I did is I applied this paste to the Sumo and I started polishing it away. And I went at it for about 5 minutes or so and then checked it. And here's another picture. You can see it got slightly better. The short end of it is, though, it took me an hour of polishing this watch to get it to an acceptable level. Some of the scratches on the Sumo, you know, were reasonably deep, but a lot of it too, there's just a lot of micro scratches, and I was like sweating and giving it like a really hard workout going around this crystal for an hour. But the short end of it is after spending an hour and $16 on this diamond paste, I basically made the watch wearable again. And looking at it now, the crystal is nearly perfect. Now again, the effort and labor that went into getting it to be this way was a lot, but the flip side is it's still cheaper than replacing the crystal or buying the equipment to even replace the crystal yourself. So, you know, spending the $16 on the paste, I'm thinking it actually wasn't that bad of a deal. Now, you obviously need to be careful with this stuff. You want to make sure you're masking off the watch appropriately and that you're taking care, because obviously you're using a very abrasive compound and then you could end up causing damage to other parts of the watch that you really don't want to do. So I ended up deciding to try this on my Panerai, which was, I'll admit, probably not one of my brighter ideas. Not that I'm full of bright ideas, but you know, Seiko Sumo obviously is a nice watch, but if I broke the Seiko Sumo, the crystal was already screwed up anyway, it wasn't going to kill me. Whereas, you know, Panerai, the crystal was still not in terrible shape, and I apologize. I didn't take any photos of it before because it really didn't show up well in photography. But, you know, with the Panerai, obviously the repair costs and the value of the watch are very different than they are on the Seiko Sumo. And so, not my best judgment to do this, but I, despite my best judgment, went ahead and tried it on the Panerai as well. I put a small amount of this paste on the dial of the Panerai, and I went at it for a good 5 or 10 minutes, and I tell you what, it's perfect now. So it absolutely did exactly what it needed to do, and I'm looking at it right now, and the crystal is spotless. And combine that with some Cape Cod polishing cloths I used to clean up some minor scratches on the case, which I'll have to talk about in a later video. The watch looks brand new. So for 16 bucks, I've fixed two watches. Again, I took off the micro scratches on my Panerai Sapphire, and I've also completely, well, I wouldn't say completely, there's still some minor undulations on the crystal, but I'd say it's about 95% there. So for 16 bucks, I've fix both the watches. So, you know, the stuff is called Scratch Genie. It's diamond paste, and they come with, again, the micro tip. There's other ones in the market. You know, diamond paste, there's different types of it. I don't know what compound Scratch Genie uses, but I'm sure somebody makes an alternative that might be cheaper to buy. I decided to go with Scratch Genie only because I knew that it was made for watches. I was tempted to buy some other diamond paste, but I was afraid I'd get the wrong grit and, you know, cause more damage than good. So that's kind of it. So I didn't really know what I was doing, clearly. I didn't think some of this stuff through, clearly. But I'm happy to say that there was $16 well spent, and I'm really happy with the results. So this is kind of just kind of a by the way consumer review of something that I figured out. And you know, if you guys decide to do this on your own, do so at your own risk. Again, be very careful, more careful than I've been, and being sure to take care to not damage any parts of the watch, and only focus on the parts of the crystal that are, you know, you want to work on. And because especially if you're using a power drill like I did, which I recommend because it takes a lot less time. I mean, it took me an hour with a drill. I can only imagine how long it would have taken me to try to polish off the crystal without a drill. What happens is it can sometimes catch traction and go flying off the side of the watch. So be very, very careful if you guys decide to do this, but I do think it's something that in the right hands and the right judgment, I think it might be money well spent. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think below. I know some of you guys are going to ask me about acrylic. This company, Scratch Genie, makes a compound for acrylic, but honestly, you don't need it. With acrylic crystals, most of the time, unless it's a really deep scratch, you can actually just take some like toothpaste and you can actually use that to polish them up. There's a whole bunch of ways. Acrylic crystals are very easy to fix, but Sapphire, Hardlex, you know, mineral crystals, this is the one thing I found that works. So you guys in the comments, I know you guys are all part of this community too. Let me know if you found something else that works better. If you've used this product before and you had positive or negative results with it, I'm really curious to see how you guys did. As always, guys, hope you guys found that helpful. I'm apologizing on all my videos and this one too for not being around much on YouTube anymore. I was actually thinking legitimately about stopping the channel for a bit. And it's not because I don't enjoy this, it's just because I've taken a new career and I just have very little free time anymore. You know, I did that video a while back about what I do for a living and about chasing things that you guys think are fine fulfilling. And I don't like just to give advice, I like to take my own, and I reached a point where I wanted to try something else, and so I'm doing that, and unfortunately my free time is not what it used to be, but I'm going to do my best to keep the channel going, and I really, really, really appreciate the support. I'm not going to start a Patreon or anything like that. If I could start a Patreon for time, I would, because that's what I need. I need more time, and I just don't have it. But thank you guys so much for watching, all the continued support. I really hope you guys are doing well. Again, please let me know about your experience with fixing Sapphire and Hardlex crystals in the comments below. Your feedback means a lot to me. And as always, guys, if you haven't already, somewhere around me, please subscribe so you can catch you there on the next video. And if you haven't already, please browse my channel. I get a lot of questions that I've answered in videos before. So thank you guys so much. Take care. Have an awesome day.